and what kind of labor, what kind of tedious trial and error it takes to bring pieces into their right place in the whole. And that is the wholeness he's talking about. That's the shalom or shlemut he's talking about. Welcome to this session of our cyber yeshiva here at Hebrew Learning Circles. I'd like to share with you today a beautiful teaching related to the Parshat Naso, which is on about the very last phrase of Birkat HaKohanim, of the priestly blessing. And it's Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yichunecha, Yair Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. And the last words are v'yasem lecha shalom. And may God place or bestow peace upon you. So the Slonimer here has a really sweet take on the force of shalom, of peace in the world, really. So let's jump right in, and here we go. Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God lift God's countenance towards you and bestow peace upon you. Midrash, this is Midrash Rabbah, Gadol HaShalom she'ein chotam kol hatfilah el hashalom. In the Midrash we read that peace is so great, and how do we see that in our tradition, is that the Amidah, the tefillah prayer, ends with the words with the word shalom, right? Oseh shalom bimromav, baruch atah Hashem Eloheinu melech haolam, hamevarech amo Yisrael bashalom. And ve'en chotam birkat kohanim el shalom. So the same with the priestly blessings. It ends with ve'yasem lecha shalom. And so on and so forth. He brings more examples. בפרקי אבות, הלל אומר, הווי מתלמידיו של אהרון אוהב שלום ורודף שלום. In the Ethics of the Fathers, we read that Hillel says, be of among the students of Aaron the priest, who loves peace and pursues peace. אוהב את הבריות מקרבן לתורה. Who loves all people and brings them close to Torah, close to spirituality. And even more. וכן מצינו הרבה מאמרי חז"ל שהעמידו את עניין השלום במדרגה הגבוהה ביותר, and we find many commentary by the sages that place the matter of peace, shalom, on the highest order. Kedeitod b'midrash, as it is brought in the Midrash again in a different place in Midrash Rabbah, al pasuk hineni noten lo et briti shalom, on the verse, and I, referring to God, will give him, which is talking about Pinchas, my covenant of peace. גדול השלום שניתן לפנחס שאין העולם מתנהג אלא בשלום. Peace is so great that it's given to Pinchas because there is no greater custom by which the world runs, but peace. V'Torah kula shalom, and the Torah is all peace. Shene'emar darchei darchei noam v'kol netivotei shalom. It says about the Torah that her ways are ways of pleasantness, v'chol netivotei, and all her paths are paths of peace. So wow. I think we knew that. We know that that our encounter with Jewish liturgy and with Jewish philosophy and with Jewish texts is that there's an advocacy for peace all the time. It's there a lot. But the beauty here is the Sotomer brings together all these different quotes where from different, from the whole array of different classical texts and prayer, where peace is so essential, is so core to the teaching and to thinking. And the question is why? What's the big deal? Other than that, it's intuitive. Obviously, we want people to get along, right? So the Slonimer will go into the deeper why of peace. And he brings a commentary by the Holy Maggid of Koznitz in his book, Israel, the Service of Israel, Perek Nun Chet, in chapter 58. לבאר הטעם מה שנקרא הקדוש ברוך הוא שלום. So here he's going like really jumping into the deep water. He's going to explain the reason that the Holy One, blessed be, is called Shalom. Many of the God, we have one God with many names, right? And one of the names for God is Shalom. For instance, when we greet somebody on Shabbat and we say Shabbat Shalom, so nowadays we interpret that to mean have a peaceful Shabbat. But Shabbat Shalom actually doesn't, the origin, the etymology of Shabbat Shalom is not have a peaceful Shabbat. It actually means, may your Shabbat be filled with divinity. And the name for divinity in this greeting is Shalom. So Shabbat Shalom, may your Shabbat be filled with divine spirit, with divine consciousness. So you see the depth of that simple greeting, Shabbat Shalom, is based on the custom, the recognition that Shalom is really a name for God, or it's an essence for God, an essence for godliness. So peace is a spiritual principle. You see where this is going. The direction is towards looking at peace not only as the absence of war or the absence of conflict, but as an affirmative, constructive spiritual force that's at the core of the universe. Perhaps it's sort of a force that holds everything together. And let's hear more from the Maggid of Koznitz. Hu kakatuv oseh shalom bimromav. As it is written, he who makes peace in his heavens, right? Oseh shalom aleinu, yaseh shalom. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו על כל ישראל, עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, right? So this is a phrase that we end our prayer service with. May the one who makes peace in his or her heavens, may that one make peace upon us, upon all of Israel. And so back to the words of the Maggid of Koznitz, כי קיבלנו מרבותינו, כי אין לך דבר נברא שאיננו מורכב מדלת יסודות אש, רוח, מים ועפר. Now he's going to go into the cosmology, into explaining what is this all about? What is this sort of charged spiritual forcefulness related to shalom, or encapsulated, described by the word shalom? And he says, well, everybody knows this is a very, ancient chemistry, that nothing in the world has been created that doesn't have in it the four elements of fire, wind, water, and earth. So, okay, let's forgive the very crude and basic chemistry framework here, but let's give him credit for going to an intuitive, very basic experience, a lay experience of matter, of the world as a physical reality. And the traditional understanding of the breakdown of the world is that you have these four elements: Esh, Ruach, Mayim, V'Afar, fire, wind, water, and earth. But here's where it gets interesting. Vehem yesodot mitnagdim. The thing about the four elements that they all oppose one another. Ki mayim mechabim ha'esh. Water extinguishes fire. Ve'aruach menapcho. And the wind actually blows fire out of control. Vechen kulam echad lumat chavero. They're all in some kind of tension, in some kind of oppositional tension between earth, fire, wind, and water. So what he's pointing to is that the entirety of creation, everything in the world, is kind of functions in this inert oppositional tension. One is wanting to cancel, wanting to dominate, wanting to disrupt the other all the time. It's a miracle it holds together, isn't it? והיינו שכל הבריאה שברא הקדוש ברוך הוא לכאורה היא מלאת כוחות מנוגדים. So you can see that the entirety of creation, created by the Holy One, blessed be, seems to be filled with oppositional forces. וכולה פרטים מפרטים שונים, המנוגדים וסותרים אחד את השני. And creation is filled up with little details, many different entities, small and varied. And they're all different and oppositional and contradictory one to the other. And he brings a few examples. Kites v'choref, summer and winter. Kor v'chom, heat and coolness. Yomam v'layla, day and night. V'chulei. The world is filled with contradictions and opposites. וכן בין הנבראים עצמם יש סתירות וניגודים. And thus between all the different creatures, and I think what he's referring to is to humans. Look at us. We're opposed and contradicting one another. Forget about contradicting ourselves. But the point is that the world is a dance, a game of tension and opposition, you see. ובאופן טבעי אין קיום לכל חלקי הבריאה. So by nature, by the way of the world, there really is no guaranteed existence or sustenance to all the parts of creation. I mean, this is one of the saddest things that that I think as a child you may remember, and I see that when I work with children, is when they realize the sad truth that nature is beautiful, but also it's preying on each other all the time. Everybody and everything is food for somebody else. No existence is guaranteed. You know, the lion is gonna, hunt the deer, and the deer is hunting the plants, and the larger plants are eating smaller plants, and um, it's like you can't walk out of your house if you lived in the wilderness without fearing. We have this instinctual fear that we would be preyed for somebody, would be somebody's lunch. What a world. It's like I teach nature appreciation to kids, and we look at all the beauty and how it affects us and makes us feel, um, uh, we breathe deeper. But really, if you just look behind the curtain, there's a lot of tension and opposition, and the sentiment, the feeling that once we recognize that comes, what comes up is a sense of cruelty. It's a rough world, it's a dog eat dog world. That's what he's pointing to. ורק מידת השלום היא כוח על טבעי שנתן הקדוש ברוך הוא בבריאה. And he says the force or the quality of peace, and I'd like to say the force of peace or the zeitgeist of peace, is a unnatural, supernatural force that the Holy One Blessed Be has embedded in creation. This is a very interesting cosmology. So nature is created to, as a battleground, but peace is this supernatural force that's embedded in there. המחברת וממזגת כל היסודות והניגודים וכוללם יחד והיו לאחדים. And that force of peace connects and integrates or combines all these elements and contradictions and oppositions. And I think by elements he's going back to the beginning of the metaphor about the four elements: fire, water, wind, and earth. And peace brings all of that together into a oneness. והיינו שעניין שלום הוא השלמות שבבריאה. And here you see that shalom, and he's doing a little bit of a word analysis, a root analysis of the word shalom, hu hashlemut. So do you hear the connection, if you're not a Hebrew speaker, but you can hear it, that shlemut, which means wholeness, shares a root with the word shalom, which means peace. So the force of shalom, the embedded force of shalom, that's kind of in there, in the mix of all this tension, is the wholeness, or brings the wholeness, or brings out the wholeness in creation by integrating kol hapratim v'hatama shebenehem, all the different individual parts, and the complementary fit between them. So this is a beautiful sentence, and I want to take this before I continue. I want to take this to its depth. So shalom, peace, talks about shlemut, about wholeness. And here he's explaining wholeness by following the definition, the sort of conceptual definition of wholeness. Not wholeness as brokenness, but wholeness as an integration of parts where each part fits the other perfectly, like the parts of a puzzle. It's the wholeness of a puzzle, you see. It's not wholeness as non-brokenness, but it's wholeness, it's the wholeness of, and we all know, we've had the experience of working on putting a puzzle together. What does it take to find every little piece, to find its exact placement so it fits exactly to the 2 or 3 pieces around it? And what kind of labor, what kind of tedious trial and error it takes to bring pieces into their right place in the whole. And that is the wholeness he's talking about. That's the shalom or shlemut he's talking about. Teasing out the way that the parts fit together in reality. So back to the Koznitzer. We'll be wrapping it up here soon. That each part fits together with its neighbor. And that integration sustains creation. It's a very deep insight of the deep dynamics of how the world works, where there's a destructive trend, but there's also a bringing together trend. And those two have their own tension. וכמו בדלת היסודות שאש ומים לא רק שאינם סותרים זה את זה, אלא כל קיום הבריאה מושתת על מיזוג דלת היסוד ביחד. He says, just like with the example of the 4 basic elements, where fire and water aren't really in opposition to one another, but in fact, all of creation depends on the functional integration of these 4 elements. כך בכל ענייני הבריאה קיום העולם הוא על ידי השלום. Such as it is it with all other dimensions of existence, that that existence itself depends on shalom, on the force of peace. שהוא המזיגה בין כל חלקי הבריאה הנפרדים, he's repeating himself, which is the combining, the integration of all the disparate parts of creation. נמצא שכל קיום הבריאה תלוי בזה. I mean, the world holding together depends on peace, on the force of peace. שעל ידי השלום העולם מתקיים, אך בהיעדר השלום, and here's where I think he's concluding in a way that's really interesting for me, and I hope for you too. אך בהיעדר השלום צצות כל הסתירות. But when peace is absent, what rises to the surface are all the contradiction which is inherent in creation. And when that is the case, everything is destroyed. Everything goes to pot. So what a beautiful deep analysis of peace as a constructive force, not only the absence of war or the resolution of conflict. What is it like what would it be like for you and I to actually proactively peacemake, bring pieces together in our lives, in our relationships. Not just settle for, boy, I didn't have a fight with my partner today. We had peace. What a great day. But instead, look for my partner and ask her or him, how can we combine our gifts, our goodness together in a deeper way? What kind of fitting do we have that we haven't discovered yet? How can we be more whole? And imagine that we proactively reached out to co-workers, to friends, to our children, to the animals in our lives, to the environment, and said to nature, how can I integrate, combine better with you so I'm teasing out the best in you and allowing you to be whole while you're teasing out the best in me and allowing me to be vibrant and vital and healthy. Like permaculture, for instance, or organic farming, or sustainable forestry, or you know what I'm talking about, right? The proactive wisdom of finding the win-win fit between anything in our lives. What would that be like? Not to settle for the absence of conflict, which is lucky anyway because it's going to never be absent. Love this wisdom. I hope you appreciate it too. With this, we're going to conclude, and I'd like to offer us the blessing that we grow and we develop into that capacity of taking the lead of tradition, where every core prayer and every teaching of Chazal and every page of the Torah is pointing us to Shalom as a force of wholeness, a constructive force that we as human beings are really charged to make a difference with in the world, to elevate and to make this world a better place than it was when we arrived. That is our task. So go in peace and do your work in peace and grow in peace and may wholeness be your beacon of light, whether religiously, spiritually, ethically, in any which way. Thank you for sharing this time with me in peace. I hope that you've been as touched by this teaching as I have. And I'm Rabbi Ruben Modik with Hebrew Learning Circles and Makom Halev community here in Nyack. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below. Like and subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, so subscribe to our channel. Come back for more. We'll be teaching here almost every day in this cyber yeshiva. And with that, I'm going to bid you shalom.